Hello, welcome to Off the Menu. I'm Vincent Franchini from Tumblr House, here with a Krampus Charles Coulombe.
Krampus? You mean I'm like Krampus, the weird goat-headed quasi-demonic figure that accompanies St. Nicholas on his gift-giving tours in Central Europe?
Yeah, it's very you.
Me. You
Yeah.
can really imagine me coming up with St. Nicholas, demanding to know if kids have been good or bad, and threatening them if they've been bad.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all. I'm a nice person in some sense.
Well, I mean, Krampus is kind of serving a function there, right? It's kind of like Black Peter, you know?
He serves an important function, I'll admit. But I mean, could you really imagine? Imagine you're a kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And St. Nicholas comes up to you and says, "Have you been a good little boy this year?" And me coming up and saying, "I sure hope not." Could you really imagine by doing that?
I think that's a mischaracterization of Krampus. I mean, is he really hoping, or does he just punish, or help?
Of course he's hoping to punish. Well, he's helping. Oh yeah, he helps. I don't think we'll be doing that again this year, little boy. Do you?
I don't know. Honestly, it sounds like you're a jack-o'-lantern character a little bit.
Well, yes. Jack-o'-lantern, I suppose, does have a lot in common with Krampus.
Yeah.
It's the the naughty or nice bit.
Yeah.
Go ahead and be naughty. We're waiting.
Exactly.
Well, I guess it isn't too bad. I mean, there are a lot of people I'd love to be Krampus for.
Yeah, I can think of a few.
Oh, yeah. You know, Your Eminence, you've been bad. I'm afraid you made Santa's naughty list, and he sent me to take care of it. Don't you wish you'd been a good boy this year? But it's all right. I don't mind.
You briefly had like the most evil smile when you said that.
Well, the thoughts are very helpful. I know you thought no one knew about it, Your Elegance, but we did. And now you have to pay for it.
Wow.
But it's all right. I won't mind a bit. All of this is going to hurt you a lot more than it will hurt me. All right, maybe Krampus is not a bad description of it. And this, ladies and gentlemen, so just so you know, we are recording on St. Nicholas Eve. And you'll be happy to know that St. Nicholas came by my place earlier. And I was given not just a little bit of candy, but a cup of Glühwein, which I drank happily. And, Krampus was, I don't know, it was very strange. Krampus came running up to me and threw his arms around me, said, "Brother, we have a lot of work to do," and then went off with St. Nicholas. I don't know what that was all about.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then the funniest thing about it, I said to the guy next to me, I said, "That was some Krampus costume that guy was wearing." And he said, "What costume?"
Creepy.
I thought so.
So how's your Advent going, Charles?
Well, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. We had our first snowfall 2 days ago, which was great. The powers that be are lifting the daytime curfew. So, and they're also the bishops are allowing public masses once more. So Tuesday, I'm going to go into town for the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. School has been over since Friday. We're on Christmas vacation now. I very sadly and regretfully in one sense, think that I'm not going to be coming home this year. So we'll have to do the Christmas special and all that in our usual manner. But the problem is that just as they're loosening up internally, they're also tightening up in terms of returning. The new regulations that come into effect on Tuesday would require me. It's no problem leaving, of course, although I'd have to go into quarantine when I got back to the States. But I would have to take one test to get on the plane and another once I got back here. And I'd have to go through a 6-day quarantine before I took the second test, which would mean, because instead of February, as it was in the past 2 years, school starts on January 10th. So as a result, I would have to go through the 2 tests. Oh, and I'd have to pay for them myself, by the way. My insurance doesn't cover the tests. So we're talking 180 euros a pop. And the 6 days, and school's starting earlier, and blah, 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 blah. So we'll see if I make it home for spring break.
Okay.
But that being said,
yeah,
I'll be home for Christmas, if only in my dreams. And I want you to go see the Christmas lights for me on St. Albans Drive and Christmas Tree Lane and Hastings Ranch.
Okay. On a somewhat somber note, one of our patrons, Diego, he put in a request. His last grandparent died. I'm not sure if it's grandma or grandpa, but he had requested prayers. So, if you could.
So prayers will give him. Ladies and gentlemen, feel free to join in these at home. We've all lost people this year. Vinny's father, my favorite aunt, and a lot of you out there have lost people, I know. Some few from COVID, a lot of other people for other things. It is part of life, ladies and gentlemen, but you never get used to it. And when it's a close relation, it's a reminder that the cold breath is on all our necks, even though we ignore it most of the time. So always be quick to say prayers for other people's dead, as well as for your own. It's one of the easiest and most charitable things you can do. Nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Santa Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Eternal rest grant unto them, O Lord.
And let perpetual light shine upon them.
May their souls and the souls of all the faithful departed to the mercy of God rest in peace.
Amen.
In the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. I mean, it's funny. Prayer for the dead is at once one of the most somber and one of the most comforting things we have. You know, this month of the Holy Souls we just got through, I love, and not just because it's my birth month, but also because, you know, as you get older, you've got more and more and more family and friends who are deceased, just the nature of life. And it's a marvelous and wonderful thing to pray for them, because you feel a bit closer to them. You know that if they're in purgatory, you're doing them some good. And if they're not, if they're in heaven, or God forbid, in hell, if those prayers aren't wasted, they'll go to someone who can use them. And so you'll be contributing to somebody else's reunion with their beloved Aunt Mamie or their Grandpa Joe.
Yeah. As I've said before, that's one of the great things about Twitter. I forget everything else. The prayer requests and the prayer warriors that respond is it's quite amazing. It's quite amazing.
Well, it is. And I mean, human beings are funny. The more isolated we become in one way, the more we tend to pull together in others. And it's not the same as real life by any stretch, but this medium we use, it's a lot better than nothing. It's a lot better than being trapped in our rooms wondering idly what's going on.
Yeah.
This way we're able to wonder idly what's going on as a group.
It's like God knew.
In a sense, almost as though, he had a score. I mean, I always think of, the story of how my Indian godson and I came to know one another. Could only have happened. That weird tale could only have happened now. And it's the story of the internet. I mean, he came to believe in the Catholic faith in India.
Yeah.
But he would have had no one to advise him.
That's true.
But being a young man of his generation, he had a ton of Catholic friends across the globe in many different countries who gave him the advice. Then he got in touch with me. And then, he went to England for his doctorate. He got baptized and confirmed that. I mean, it is such a 21st century tale. And yet, against a backdrop of places that are so antique, Calcutta, India, Cambridge, England, Los Angeles, and Trumau.
Speaking of antique, let's start the memes of production.
Nationalize the memes of production.
For the common good. Charles says antique. I'll tell you what's antique is this first meme from posted by Tetrarchy on Twitter. Me says, yeah, my parish has one Sunday Mass, a daily Mass on Wednesdays sometimes, and a confession once a month. This old parish says, hold my beer. And you have... this is shocking. I didn't know parishes were that robust back in the day. So we've got masses on... so we've got Franciscan Fathers Church of St. Francis of Assisi, National Shrine of St. Anthony, Reverend Terrence A. McNally, OFM, pastor. This is in New York City. So Sunday Masses, 2:30, 2:45, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11:30, 12, 12:30, 12:45. Weekdays, Masses at 5, 6, 6:30, 7, 8, 8:30, 9, 10, 11:15, 11 on Tuesdays, 12:15. Holy days, wow, there's a lot on holy days. 2:30, 4, what is that? It's very small. 4, 5, 5:30, 6, 6:30, 7, 7:15, 7:30, 7:45, 8, 8:15, 8:30, 8. So in 15-minute intervals here, confessions. Every day of the year from 6:45 a.m. to 9:30. Oh, that says p.m. Wait, how could that be? How could it be from 6:45 a.m. to 9:30 p.m.? Confessions. Does that sound right, Charles?
Yeah, because they would have had people on call all that time. Remember, it's an order parish, so they would have had a number of priests.
Wow, I actually
more than normal.
That's so unusual. I actually hallucinated that for it to make sense to my mind. I thought it said 9:30 a.m., which would be a meager almost 3 hours of confession every single day. Wow. And then obviously what got your interest was these devotions on every day of the week. Sundays, Rosary, Benediction and devotions to Saint Philomena. Mondays, Our Lady of the Miraculous Medal devotion. Tuesdays, Saint Anthony devotions. Wednesday, St. Joseph and Infant of Prague devotion, and Our Lady of Fatima devotions. And on all of these are on multiple different times every day. This was shocking to me. This was actually a revelation, because it's like a blind man seeing the color red for the first time.
That a parish could actually be there to do something?
I think part of modernism, for them to hope that things work out, is for people to not actually be aware of this and the livelihood of pre-Vatican II parishes.
Well, yeah. Now, mind you, they all weren't like that, and that's an order parish in Manhattan. But they definitely did do a lot more on the average than we do now, especially in the what's the word I want? In the devotions department.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because they would have, I mean, I remember even in Los Angeles in the 70s, you would always have very popular Miraculous Medal, Infant of Prague, and Our Lady of Perpetual Help.
Yeah.
Those you'd see very, very often. And there are a few parishes left that still do them. Holy Trinity in Atwater, Atwater Village.
Yeah.
They're still very big on their they were when I was last home. But they were very big on devotions after the evening mass.
Well, truth be told, that's actually one of the main reasons why I joined the Knights of Columbus, is because I felt it was a mechanism I could use to foster devotion activities, because our local parishes need so bad, and it's not happening, and it should happen. I just feel like you need to light the match to start it up.
Were you able to get anything done that way?
Well, no, COVID happened.
But were you discussing it with people?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Things for adoration, because adoration and in our local parish is a thing, perpetual adoration. So
yeah, St. Therese is a really good parish.
Yeah. So
that's actually my council.
Oh wow, fancy that! That's my council too.
But I haven't been there in a long time.
Huh. Anyhow, okay, so that's the first meme. Then we got another post from Matthew Taylor on Twitter.
Okay, what's he tell us?
So he says, a wee entrance for Tumblr House's memes of production, referenced photo included for context. So he sees that Charles A. Coulombe liked his photo on Instagram. He presumes, it'll be that Jerusalem cross sewing that I did. And then he realizes, it's a photo of my teddy bear wearing a Christmas hat. And I think Palpatine says, a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one.
Well, okay, so my tastes aren't all highbrow. Sue me.
I like people's preconceived notions of you, where it's, oh, wow, Charles likes something. It's going to be this exalted thing. Oh, a bear with a Christmas hat.
I thought it was funny. I liked it. So sue me, I mean, I don't sit around all day thinking deep thoughts.
All right. Next one is from Suyuf on Twitter. And he says, God, I love the internet. And this is an article from TwistedSifter.com. The Queen wore a green screen outfit and the internet went to town. So you've got Photoshop of her in a pizza outfit and then a Batman outfit.
Which
awesome.
I like.
Yeah.
I like them both, but I like the Batman outfit in particular.
I like the pizza outfit.
I don't think she'd be caught dead wearing either of them, though.
No. Let's see. And we have a last one. Yeah, from a patron, Carl. He's trying to send this to me forever. We finally got it through. Oswald and I wish Charles a happy birthday. Yeah.
You know, finally, people get to see what Oswald looks like. And
yeah, Disco Stew from The Simpsons for you Simpsons aficionados.
Well, I think it's fair to say that Matt Groening designed the character not necessarily after Oswald himself, but after the same people that Oswald emulates.
Yeah.
Because you got to bear in mind that both he and I were kids then. I mean, teenagers and so on.
Yeah.
But he just fell in love with that look. And he still thinks, it shows you what an idiot he is. He still thinks it's hep and happening. You know, back when we were still on speaking terms, I tried to tell him that ship had sailed. You know what I'm saying? Even the garbage in '68 was more relevant than this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But he still dresses like that. I mean, who does that? The last time I actually saw him, and this is years ago, you know, he goes up to this chick. He does the whole, what's your sign? And she very rightly tells him to buzz off. And he comes back and he says, you know, it doesn't matter what she said. I know she wants me. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, I know what you mean. Her lips said no, but her eyes said, and he brightened up. And I said, drop dead. He didn't take it well. And we haven't spoken since. But he's a moron. You know, he's always a moron. He was a moron when we were kids. He was a moron when we were working for your uncle. He was always a moron.
That's mean-spirited.
No, it's not. It's accepting. Look, he would tell you the same thing about me, and he has, as I happen to know.
Okay.
You know, people in the secretarial pool will talk to me. They don't talk to him. They tell me what goes on there. I know what cooks. You're not fooling me for a second. Even Tyrone will talk to me. And he hears what the garbage that Oswald yaps about. So I'm just amazed that he still could go into the tower. You know, I've been away for a year, and Oswald gets free reign these past 4 or 5 months. I don't want to air dirty laundry on the air, but why is this? What you say he's not working for the company officially? Well, what's he doing? Lounging around? You know, eating snacks in the secretarial pool the way they tell me he's doing? They say there is not either a bag of bugles or a dish of ho-hos that is safe around him.
Okay. Yeah.
You never even put out dishes of ho-hos when I came by. I like ho-hos.
You like a lot of sweets.
I do. I haven't seen a ho-ho since I've been in Vienna. They've got a lot of other sweets that I do like, but no ho-hos.
Well, I'm sorry, Charles. It's for your good, your own good.
What, to know that Oswald is there pilfering the refreshment dishes? That helps?
Yes.
How does that help?
It's spiritual mortification.
In what sense?
For you.
For me? What, knowing that idiot has free reign of the Tumbler House Tower is something somehow going to help me?
You're supposed to be, the spiritual life is about being detached, Charles. And I think you have an unhealthy attachment to
Ho-hos?
Ho-hos and Oswald Dupree.
An unhealthy attachment. I'm not attached to that guy. He could go to the 13th floor forever for all I care. In fact, that's probably the best thing for him.
You're obsessed with Oswald. He's on your mind way too much.
He's obsessed with me. He's always been my enemy. He's always been trying to chisel me out. Always. Your uncle never fell for it. But you obviously have I don't know what it is. You have a kind of a soft streak for it. Maybe it's the hair.
Maybe.
The big.
Yeah, the Jufro.
The Jufro.
All right, questions.
All right.
First question is from Rob. In reading Puritan's Empire, which can be obtained with free shipping by purchasing with any other title, act now while supplies last.
Void were prohibited. Sorry, no CODs. Operators are standing by.
Got it down.
Not an actor.
Yes, yeah. Preaching the gospel of Tumblr House here. I found the best descriptive definition of the term fascism, which is often used in a pejorative sense only. Quote, I hate this fellow, therefore he is a fascist. End quote.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
Yeah. My question is, Charles, would you please explain the following terms? Critical theory and cultural Marxism, which seem to be used in the same pejorative-only manner by the opposing side.
Well, that's because what they describe is so stupid. Critical theory is the idea. Critical theory is assessing society and everything else in terms of structures of power, which is a phrase I am so sick of. I would love to smack around anybody I'd love to play Krampus for any academic who uses that term. It drives me nuts because academics are themselves structures of power. They have the lives of these kids in their hands. They can control them through grades. And as we've seen with the little darlings of the Antifa movement and BLM, they use them to brainwash them. I mean, I can't abide these creatures. They are the structures of power, and if they want to avoid being worthless hypocrites, they should probably stop teaching. As far as cultural Marxism goes, same. I mean, it describes a real thing. Cultural Marxism is what we have. It is the ideals of communism. Well, in today's setup, the Marxist analysis no longer deals with class because you no longer have a real urban proletariat groaning under industrial misery, and it's switched to race. And it talks about systemic racism. Everything's racist. And just about all the academic institutions and learned societies and things like that, museums and so forth, have signed on to this drill. And it's rot. It's utter rot. What we suffer from is not systemic racism. It's systemic stupidity that produces both critical theory and cultural Marxism. End systemic stupidity. Root out this garbage. Root and branch. And as I say, if I could play Krampus for all the little darling academics, I would. Oh, Professor, so you like to teach critical theory to children who don't even know any history. Well, little Professor, we've got a St. Nicholas Eve to remember for you. And if you survive it, it may alter your views slightly. Let's get started, Prof. I guess I am sort of Krampus-time.
It's getting a little darker now. It's getting into the realm of Saw, that horror thing where it's.
Oh, I don't believe in chopping people up. I've never even seen one of those things, by the way.
I just saw the first one. I
never saw Saw. Yeah. I never see Saw.
I think it's pretty.
I never saw See.
Yeah, it's disturbing. I don't go
over that kind of thing.
My brother got me into it. My brother made me watch it. He's like, "Oh wow, this is." He made me watch all these trendy movies. He made me watch the Blair Witch Project.
I saw that.
Yeah. So, anyhow.
I saw the Blair Witch Project. Oswald had a role in it.
Who was he?
The Blair Witch.
No spoilers. Don't do a spoiler.
No spoilers.
All right. Two questions from Wade.
Yeah.
At what point does a bishop's violence spiritually against the faith and the teachings of the church justify recourse to remove the bishop from public eye? Would the potential of this reaction help other bishops wake up and shape up to reality?
That's the $17 question, isn't it? What can I tell you? When Nestorius denied that Our Lady was the Mother of God, his people rebelled and threw him out of the cathedral in Constantinople. They pulled him out of the pulpit and threw him out of the building. But he denied that Our Lady was the Mother of God. I mean, I guess it would have to be that flaming. And usually they're not that flaming. They're very subtle, or they have plausible deniability. I don't know. I mean, it's a tough thing, because on the one hand we're supposed to respect authority and the hierarchy, but on the other, sometimes they're really evil. It's hard. So I can't give you a proper answer.
Okay, and he says, second, historically Christ or Mary have made apparitions to a select few and requested consecrations of specific locations to one or both of their hearts. How many times has this occurred? What was the result when the request was complied with? When the consecration did not occur, what were the ramifications that played out?
Well, quite a few times, different times and places. And I certainly can't give you a full accounting of them. There are more than I know. As to what happened when they occurred, nothing that noticeable. As to what happened when they did not, usually terrible stuff. I mean, when they did occur, there'd be a growth in faith, there'd be people coming into the church and all that, but those aren't dramatic. The French Revolution was pretty dramatic. St. Margaret Mary Alacoque, speaking for our Lord, asked King Louis XIV to consecrate France to the Sacred Heart and to put the Sacred Heart on his flag and do all that kind of thing, which the flag behind you and behind me, the Drapeau de Carillon Sacré-Cœur, was sort of the French Canadians' way of trying to carry out that command by putting the Sacred Heart on our flag. So, but he didn't, and in fact, his great-grandson who succeeded him, Louis XV, although his wife, the Queen Maria Leszczyńska, was Polish, she was very much a promoter of the Sacred Heart, but he wouldn't do it, and so their grandson, Louis XVI, when he after the Revolution, when he was in prison, he did it, but promised to do it publicly if he was restored to power. He wasn't, and so it didn't happen. There have been several attempts to get French heads of state since then to do it, none of which have come to fruition. Most recently, Marshal Pétain, after kind of putting it off, said he would do it, but then Vichy France collapsed and he never got the chance. However, they did have a whole bunch of French laymen and so on get together and dedicate France to the Sacred Heart. But that wasn't what was asked for. It was asked that the king do it. Nevertheless, as part of that vow, they built the great Basilica of Sacré-Cœur in Montmartre, north of Paris.
It's kind of... So many of the leaders seem to have procrastinated and put it off.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. It seems so simple.
Well, it seems simple, but the problem is that you always have elements in government mitigating against it. Don't forget that the devotion for the Sacred Heart, to the Sacred Heart, arose partly as a response in the form that we have it, because of course it predates that, but since St. Margaret Mary Alacoque, it arose in opposition to and was opposed by the Jansenists and then by the followers of the Enlightenment. And they had a lot of powerful allies at court in France until, it became moot. Interestingly, both Blessed Kaiser Karl and his uncle, the murdered Franz Ferdinand, were very devoted to the Sacred Heart. And Tyrol, the county in Austria, now the southern parts in Italy, Tyrol is consecrated to the Sacred Heart.
Okay. Question from Anonymous. Please.
An anonymous question. Maybe I should give it an anonymous answer.
I don't think that's an option for you.
You know?
No.
Okay, we'll try.
All right, he says, please give your thoughts on the idea that Catholics could learn from the natural virtues displayed by unbelievers. Muslims pray 5 times a day, and they flip out when the Quran touches the floor. They also teach a so-called holy language in their schools. Moderate Mennonites, distinct from Amish, dress modestly and know how to regulate technology so it doesn't harm the faith community. Mormons give each other business and assign lay people to lay roles to improve the parish community, like forming exercise groups for men and family get-togethers outside of Sunday. They're all okay with being weird, but Catholics want to be accepted. Modest dress, less social media fixation, exercise and local eating, big families with networking in the parishes, Latin in her treasured place, mutual aid. It looks like the natural virtue gold mine. I think we could learn some things in the natural virtue department. Wouldn't it be great if Catholics had a reputation like, oh, you hired a Catholic? They're so hardworking. Or, I always wondered why those Catholics are so polite.
Well, I'll give an anonymous answer.
Okay.
So this doesn't necessarily come from me.
Okay.
It may come from some other individual none of us know, including me.
Got it.
All right. Our Lord said that the children of darkness are wiser in their generation than the children of light. So all of these people have elements that are in and of themselves somewhat admirable. But they also have a flip side to them, as you might say.
Yeah.
They're not purely wonderful. If you are brought up in such a culture, it is very much of a goldfish bowl.
Yeah.
And can tend to be very inward-looking rather than evangelistic. Although both the Mormons and the Muslims are extremely evangelistic. The latter is sometimes at the point of a scimitar. The Mennonites, not so much, and the Amish, not at all. The Amish don't evangelize.
How'd they get started then? So they just kind of migrated to that area in Pennsylvania and stayed put?
Yep, in Ohio. I mean, they do expand because they have a decent birth rate. Their colonies have expanded from Pennsylvania out to Ohio and other places. So they're not all in Pennsylvania anymore, but that's how they've grown, is by birth, not by evangelization.
I think that Amish quote unquote natural virtue, I think it's going to manifest itself in more movements and other things, because the social media fixation and just a fixation of technology and the flashing lights and the noises, there's just so much to avoid there that I can't help but feel it's going to be more than Catholics or Amish people recognizing that they need to get away from this stuff and do something. You know, it's like kind of homeschooling, right? I'm surprised to learn that there are plenty of secular and Protestant homeschoolers. And the secular homeschoolers, they're just fed up with the education system.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, wouldn't it be nice if we had all those things? That would be really something.
It would be, but there might be a bit of a price to pay. It's hard to tell.
What do you mean by that?
Well, as I say, everyone knows everyone's business and all that. I mean, it's like being in any small town. It's both. There's a lot of support, a lot of caring, and all that, but there's also a lot of busybodying and people's nose in your business.
Yeah, we always see the nice side of it,
Well, and everything in life is a package deal. You can get away from all that, move to the big city, and you can be lonely and know that nobody cares if you live or die. But you can do what you want and not worry about it.
Yeah. Good point, Charles.
No, I mean, especially I live in a small town in Austria, and it is a very small town. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows everybody's business, and every day I go to the same cafe and I hear the same people talking about the same things, and it's very. Even I have begun to have a role assigned me in village life. I'm the professor. And so they'll ask me obscure questions about history and politics and America. Fragen wir der Professor. Kennt. Let's ask the professor. He'll know.
How do you feel about that? I kind of like that. That's kind of cool, right? Because you're a go-to guy now.
Well, yeah, but I mean, very often they'll ask me stuff about obscurity I really don't know anything about, and I have to say, I really don't know, and then they'll kind of nod wisely, and there's something about sitting around with a bunch of other old timers puffing away on your pipe, and you drink in front of you and just sort of chilling, One of the village fathers.
That's great. That's awesome. Don't you like that?
I don't mind it. I mean, it's like I've fallen into a role, a character.
What's wrong with that?
Oh no, I'm just sort of.
You're just a small piece of a big picture.
No. Well, in meinen Zeit, wenn ich war jung, alles war fremd. Dieses Moment, es ist fremd auch. Aber, weiß nicht. No, don't I sound wise?
Yeah. For those of you listening on the podcast and just the audio, Charles has a prop with his pipe that he's.
Und wieso denn? Wenn Sie denken über all das, über die Geschichte und die Futur und alle meinen Leben.
Your German's pretty good.
Weiß nicht.
Are you picking up German? Is it getting better?
Yeah, I guess, somewhat.
Yeah. Okay.
Aber vielleicht alles geht in Ordnung mit mir. Vielleicht.
I'm scared to respond to your words. All right. I don't know what you're saying.
Me neither.
All right. That's true. You could be saying gibberish and only the Germans will know, and the rest of the world will be like, "Wow, isn't that novel? Isn't that
Well,
neat?
the Germans would be laughing and say, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But
Yeah.
it's sort of like, you remember the song The Age of Aquarius?
Mm-hmm.
And it starts out when the moon is in the seventh house and Jupiter aligns with Mars.
Yeah.
Well, according to the Wikipedia article, Wikipedia source of all truth on the song, according to this one astrologer, it's astrological gibberish.
Nice. Well, chalk one up for
Well, that's
Wikipedia.
yeah. Well, three. I don't know what I like better, the Wayback Machine or Wikipedia, but I love them both.
Okay. Do you think that the Romance Language Center in the church makes things harder for Anglo-American people to be Catholic? I'm a Latin Mass attendee who personally doesn't have an interest in the ordinariate. St. John Henry Newman didn't need it, neither did Chesterton. But I feel like Mexicans, Italians, and French people have a much easier time being Catholic. Who do Anglo-Americans go back to? John Henry Newman, Chesterton, Father Abram Ryan, Father Coughlin, Father Feeney, Monsignor Knox? Most of those are English, Canadian, or Irish anyway. What about us?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. Us. I'm French. I'm one of them Latins. So, but I know what you mean. I wouldn't discount the ordinariates so quickly. I mean, they were founded precisely to begin to address that issue of there not being an inherent Anglo Catholic Anglo thingy here. But there are several people you could look back to. Flannery O'Connor comes to mind. Despite the Irish name on her mother's side, I guess, she was a descendant of the Maryland colony. St. Elizabeth Ann Seton, Orestes Bronson, James McMaster. These are all Anglos, but the only really Anglo Catholic Anglo areas of the country are southern Maryland and its colony, the Holy Land of Kentucky, which to this day have a very English-speaking Catholicism with its roots in England. Um, but you're right, there isn't that much, and that was one reason uh, why the Pope was so keen on starting the ordinariates, was precisely to create an English-speaking Catholicism that would be as culturally authentic and connected to the Anglo mainstream as the Catholicisms of the French, the Italians, Spanish, and so on. So anyway, uh, that's basically what I would look at. You know, you had other converts like Kenrick and Roosevelt Bailey and people like that. But in terms of strictly English-speaking American Catholic stuff, there's not that much.
Yeah. I'll go on to read the rest of what he wrote. What does an authentic Anglo-American Catholicism have that marks her out or that makes her distinct the same way Mexican, Italian, and French Catholicism is distinct? The reason I ask this to the both of you is because I don't think Catholics can act like ethnicity doesn't exist and still have a healthy faith. Patron saints, healthy traditions and customs, feasts and holidays, they're all necessary. But Anglo-American Catholicism doesn't seem to have a patrimony to fall back on.
Well, you're right. Not much of one. I mean, it's certainly, as I say, Maryland and Kentucky, and the Ordinariates. They do have, certainly the Ordinariates are developing a patrimony from Anglicanism and from Anglo-Catholicism. Things like the Boar's Head Festival at Christmas, and madrigal suppers, um, the services of carols, things like that. They certainly do Christmas up very big. The blessings of the hounds. That sort of thing. It's very much a part of it. I mean, the literary tradition of people like Ralph Adams Graham, T.S. Eliot, all those folks, Chesterton, everybody we're talking about. But again, you've got it either very rural, as in our friends in Maryland and Kentucky, or it's Anglican. The sort of patrimony you're talking about is something that has yet to be developed, really. In other words, we are roughly where Mexico was before it was evangelized. So I really think that you might look again at the ordinariate. And I think you also might look. I mean, one of the customs that they've brought into the church, which I think is very, very important, is this Boar's Head festival, which is such a big thing at Christmas. Well, and actually not Christmas, but the Epiphany after Christmas, that period that we now tend to flush on the 26th of December. Pancakes on Shrove Tuesday, that kind of thing. They do have those sorts of customs, and in ordinariate parishes, they're getting into them more and more. St. George's Day, and one devotion that I think that all of us should really be looking into, especially because it's going to happen the day after you see this podcast or hear it, is the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. I really believe that all of us American Catholics, but especially those of Anglo origin, need to push as our national day and feast is the Immaculate Conception. I mean, except for the outdoor barbecues in a lot of places, that should be when we're putting out the flag and, shooting off fireworks for Our Lady of the Immaculate Conception, patroness of these United States.
Okay. Couple questions from James.
All right.
Please tell us the causes of the Spanish Civil War. Is America's present political situation most akin to Spain's on the eve of its civil war? Or is there another historical example that we can learn more from to stave off what seems like looming catastrophe?
Well, basically what happened was that in 1931, the socialists won a lot of elections in a lot of the towns. And so King Alfonso XIII took it as a slap in the face, and he left the country without abdicating. He was replaced by what was called the Second Republic. And there were conservative and liberal parties in the Second Republic, and there was a short period when they had, I think, a conservative prime minister. But he was assassinated by the left, and the Republic went further and further and further and further to the left. They started doing all sorts of terrible things, and so finally the army rebelled. And then when the army rebelled, a lot of other Catholics, Carlists, monarchists, all sorts of people jumped in on the deal. And in the meantime, the Republican government raised its own popular militias and were armed somewhat by the Soviets. And as the Civil War went on, the Republic became more and more communist, until by the end of the Civil War, they were just communists, and that was it. They even purged the anarchists. So, to answer your question, we're not there yet. We will probably, if we have a few years of a Harris regime, and it's very nasty and very pushy, we may conceivably come to resemble that situation a lot more. But don't think the armed forces would revolt against such a regime. In Spain, the army was used to being an independent agent. It's not in the United States. And the leadership of the armed forces are completely subservient to whoever the government in power may be. Now, if there were insurrections by the deplorables within the country, given that the combat arms elements of the armed forces tend to be recruited from deplorables primarily, it might be difficult. The armed forces would probably split. And of course the other shock troops that the regime would have, the Antifas and the BLM and so on, I don't know how well they would do against armed deplorables.
Right. Another question from James. If you decide to be the founder of a third party in American politics, how would you go about founding it? Is the time ripe in America for the rise of a third political party?
That's a hard question, and I don't know. We've certainly had attempts to do them in the past, none of which have generally gotten that far. Is it the time? I don't know, maybe. We'll see. A lot depends on the aftermath of this election, if it ever ends.
What exactly makes a political party a political party?
Well, you get a number of people together, like I told you during the pre-show. I told you about the Independent Fusion Party in New York. You get a group of people together and you organize them. I mean, I'm a member of a third party, the American Solidarity Party, and I've been a member at different times of the Constitution Party and the American Independent Party. None of which, as you guessed, were one of the two major parties. I was a Republican for the first 10 years of my voting life. And then I left the party after they ran a pro-abortion candidate for the Senate against Alan Cranston. One of the hardest things I've ever done was leaving the Republican Party.
Right. But so each state has its own requirements, right? Because
Yes.
you have to. So it's actually, I guess, a process of incorporating.
Yeah.
Not unlike in just any small business, but you have to meet certain requirements.
We have to meet certain criteria according to the Secretary of State. And obviously not all third parties are represented in all states, which is kind of a problem for them. And then, as I mentioned, New York has a host of little parties because of their law that aren't represented in any other state at all.
Well, how is it a problem for them?
What do you mean?
I mean, if you decide to be a founder, you start where you are.
Yeah.
So all you need is to start in your state.
You do, but then if you want to expand, you've got to get like-minded people in other states, and you've got to impose some kind of discipline.
But I mean, even things like the TFP, or there are chapters. Juventutum.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it. I didn't say it was impossible, but getting elected, as opposed to simply starting a party, those are two different things. I mean, there are a lot of third parties. There's the Peace and Freedom, the Greens, the Libertarians, the ones I've mentioned, of course, the American Solidarity Party, to which I belong, the Constitution Party, the American Independent Party. I mean, there are a lot of these things. But to make an effective political party that wins elections, that's harder. One reason is that Americans, as a rule, are knee-jerk in terms of voting Democratic or Republican. And then, of course, you've got the deal that you have in California and other states with the horrible open primary, which just eliminates third parties completely.
Yeah. But that's pretty big for the gubernatorial thing.
It's huge. It's absolutely huge.
No, I mean, but like in terms of building up a party, because I personally am thinking if you're going to found it, you have to start small.
And, well, yeah. I mean, as I say, the ASP ran in most states this time.
Well, I actually take that back because I'm stuck in my California mentality, and not every state is the size of California.
No.
So I guess not in every state gubernatorial is as big of a deal.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Hmm.
And of course, in small states, politics are much more comprehensible, shall we say.
I'll say. I should hope so. Honestly, I should hope so. Oh man. Okay, I have saved the best question for last.
Oh.
This was a question from a non-patron, and it was so good I just couldn't refuse. It's from Victor, and he says, "Mr. Charles, do you think that no matter the structure of the state, whether a republic or a monarchy, what really matters is whether the people in key positions of power follow higher moral principles, such as the 4 cardinal virtues in Catholicism?"
Well, that's always true in the immediate, of course. But the question is, will it last? I mean, you've had Catholic monarchies for centuries, which have often produced saints. You really haven't had too many Catholic republics in the modern sense, and they haven't lasted very long. Several of the Latin American countries, Ireland, Adolphus is Austria, Smetona's Lithuania.
Well, I think this question is looking for you to delve more into theory than history, even though that might be contrary to your nature as a historian.
It's utterly contrary to my nature. I'm not an abstract thinker. I don't like abstract thinking very much. I want to see how things really work. I'm not really, if I had wings, I could fly. If I had money, I'd be rich. If I had a car, I could drive.
I see your point.
I mean, I don't care. I don't have wings. I'm not rich. I don't have a car. So guess what? I'm not going to drive to Vienna. I'm not going to fly to Vienna. And I can't constantly be Ubering there. So that means I've got to do other things. I'm not interested in what could be. I'm interested in what is likely to be on the basis of what has been.
You're a dreamer, though, too.
Yeah, but I'm a dreamer within certain elements. I mean, I might dream of a blonde, but I'll never dream of a hydrogen sulfide. There's no reason a girl shouldn't have hydrogen sulfide colored hair, but I've never seen it. I dream within certain limits. I dream of monarchy. I don't dream of an alien invasion force, putting an alien viceroy who'll make everything good. It could happen, but I'm not going to bet on it. After all, we drove them off at the Battle of Los Angeles.
Okay.
I mean, this is precisely the kind of thing that drives me cray-cray on everything. It's like the ignorant native on the desert island. I can't stand him. I really can't. Everyone's always on about him. He must, with all the concern people have for that ignorant native on the desert island, I'm amazed there aren't flocks of missionaries going out to him as we speak. Because the guy always gets dragged up, and everybody knows everything about him. They all know he's virtuous. I mean, he's so virtuous he makes me sick. And here's this ignorant native on the desert island who's never had a mortal sin. How does he do that? I don't know. But he's never had a mortal sin. He doesn't need the church. He doesn't need the sacraments because he's so wonderful. I've never seen a Catholic like that.
Sorry, I'm on I'm on the edge of laughing. I know your frustration, and it's funny to me because your point is so potent. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Well, why couldn't it be if this and such? Well, because it never works that way. Why couldn't everybody just eat free bread? Well, because, okay, you'd have to get the bread from somewhere. And to do that, you have to pay somebody something for harvesting the wheat, for baking it, for sending it to the shops. The shops, you're not going to get free bread for everybody all the time. Yeah, but why not? It's not the way it works. Well, why not? Why doesn't it work that way? Why can't we just do that? What if somebody were absolutely perfect, and he had $1,000 left by somebody in front of him, but he's perfect? If he were perfect, he wouldn't be tempted, would he?
I thought you liked Star Trek. They can make their own bread, replicators, and they've gotten rid of money.
Yes, but it's fiction, and nobody pretends that it's real.
But I feel like it's an image that everyone sort of is trying to move toward.
What, Nurse Chapel's skirt? I don't think so.
Wait, what did you say?
Too high.
What did you
I
say?
said Nurse Chapel's skirt is too high. It was a mini skirt.
Okay, I'm not familiar with Nurse Chapel's skirt. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't long enough.
Okay.
Made me so angry every time I saw her mini skirt.
Okay.
I got very upset.
I'm not. Is that from the original series? Who?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense.
I got very upset that she was wearing a mini skirt.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sorry about the miniskirt.
It was evil. I wrote a letter of protest to Gene Roddenberry when I was 8. I told how scandalized I was.
Are you serious?
No,
Oh, okay.
I didn't care. 8 years old, I didn't care tuppence about that.
Okay.
No, I was happy with Star Trek, Bewitched, Dark Shadows, The Addams Family, Gilligan's Island, The Time Tunnel, Land of the Giants. It's about time. I Dream of Jeannie.
You compartmentalize too much when it dealing with, serious matters. You always confine yourself to reality. But then when it comes to, entertainment, then it has to be really out there.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
Why can't it be the other way?
You mean, why can't I be into fantasy in real life and like things really dull and annoying for entertainment?
Yeah, that's how things are right now, right?
Not for me. I'm watching old Bewitched episodes. Dr. Bombay, emergency, come right away. And this was my exploration of old television that reminded me of one of the late Paul Lynde's great lines.
What?
Why is it the Hell's Angels don't wear leather? Oh, no, sorry. Why do the Hell's Angels wear leather?
Why?
Chiffon wrinkles.
Oh, yeah.
Which suddenly put in mind these Hell's Angels in chiffon jackets. So to answer your question, I like my reality real and my entertainment fantastic. Not the other way around.
Who are you to say what's real, though?
I'm me. Obviously, the memo has been lost somewhere in transit, but I'm actually who I am. I mean, don't feel bad about that.
About what?
My being who I am, and not someone else.
I don't feel bad at all. I'm grateful.
Yeah, well, good.
Okay.
But I mean, I just I don't like these hypotheticals. I really don't. Because they're kind of pointless.
Hmm. Yeah. Didn't St. Thomas do that a lot, though?
He did. He did. But he was trying to illustrate points in philosophy.
Yeah.
And as I've said, it's not one of my favorite pursuits. I mean, the quidditas of quidditas is not really my favorite deal. I'm, you know, and of course, when he was dealing with monarchy and with government, he wasn't at all hypothetical.
Right.
So I prefer this kind of abstract thinking and hypothesizing be restricted to other realms of the concrete.
Okay. Okay, well, that will do it for the questions. Let's deal with other matters of concrete, shall we?
Other matters of concrete, like cement?
Like merchandise from our Teespring store.
Swag.
Yes, swag. This is a wonderful pillow. We've got all sorts of stuff on our Teespring store. More
Could
pillows.
you like sort of snuggle with that pillow?
Oh, absolutely.
Let's do a snuggle.
A snuggle? Okay.
Yeah. Actually, use both of them. Just kind of pull them together and get all snuggy. Aw, isn't that great, ladies and gentlemen? That's just wonderful. And if you had both of them, you could show your commitment to the Franco-Austrian, Austro-French reconciliation or something. And
Great.
you've got more. You've got blankets or something.
We've got. So this is all stuff that I use. I am shocked at how high quality Teespring is, because these sorts of merchandise outfits, they didn't used to be high quality. Teespring is unbelievable. I use this all the time. This is my hoodie that I use. It's Sacred Heart.
Very good.
I feel like it's I like representing sometimes. You know, sometimes you're triggered by liberals, and it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna represent. I'm just gonna go out and I'm gonna show off. And so, I really like that. We need to do more of that. You know, and you don't need to say anything. You don't need to engage. Just walk around with.
But that brings up a question.
Yeah.
So you've got the hoodie, you've got blankets, I think. Yeah.
This is actually. So they call this. They have labeled this a comforter, but it's literally the best blanket and most comfortable blanket I've ever had. Wait, let me get it the right way.
Wrap yourself in the House of Habsburg, ladies and gentlemen. Be protected by the double eagle.
There we go.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Okay, hope that was a good shot. But
yeah,
it's
also very, very warm.
Oh, it's incredibly warm. It's huge, so it covers my entire bed. I use it like a normal blanket, and I don't know. It's kind of amusing to me because we have maids, and so I always wonder what they think.
What they think of the thing.
Yeah.
Well, here's a question for you, and I do have a question.
Yeah.
What is the shipping and handling on that?
Okay, so it isn't free shipping and handling, but we have a different deal for Teespring, because this is, we're using this company. It's on the Teespring website. So if you're a patron, patrons get 20% off. 20% off.
20% off?
Absolutely, 20% off. So if you buy $100 worth of stuff as a patron, you get $20 back. So if you're going to buy a bunch of gifts and you're not a patron yet, maybe it's a good idea. Pay that $5 so you can save $15 on your order, you see? And get all this exclusive content while you're at it on top of that. It's a great deal.
Wow. And all that and free shipping and handling on any order of books over $25?
That's right, Charles. Free shipping and handling. any books, any order of books over $25. Incredible.
And where is this prohibited?
Prohibited outside the United States. We don't ship outside the United States. I'm sorry. But yeah.
And it's void. We're prohibited.
It is void. We're prohibited. But yeah, so free shipping on orders over $25. But wait, there's more. Send in a book review onto the website, instantly get $5 off your order. And sometimes it's funny. Sometimes we get reviews where the person, like, they don't even want to send in a review, but they just want the $5 off, so they take advantage. We had such a funny review from Michael. He sent in a review on Star Spangled Crown, and he titled the review "Fun." And the description of his review, it says, "This book is just plain fun to read." That's all he did. And he got $5 off his order. That's all you need to type. You know what? I'm happy to do that for everyone.
$5 off, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be Shakespeare.
Yeah? Act now while supplies last.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, actually, that's actually true, because we're running. We've sold a lot of books so far this Christmas, so definitely while supplies last. I kind of feel bad because we're running out of some of these books.
Operators are standing by.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know what they're doing, but they're just sort of hanging out in the motor in the phone pool, you know.
So the link to our Teespring store is in the description. I'll try to put it on a card too. That hopefully will pop up on the top right of your screen right now. A lot of good Christmas gifts. It should be in time for Christmas as well. They're pretty efficient on the shipping.
Yeah.
So
hurry and get as many of those things as you can. Also, if you get the 2 pillows, you get the blanket, you've got a full bed set, and you can sleep much more happily than you would otherwise.
And we've got a lot of other stuff. There are, we've got mugs, we've got phone coverings, posters, all sorts of stuff. I need to add more stuff, actually.
We don't have egg cozies, do we?
Egg cozies?
Egg cozies.
What is that, a European thing? Is that where they, like, put the little egg on the little holder and then they, like, eat the egg as it's on the holder?
Well, no, you got the holder, you got the egg, but to keep the egg warm, you got a little egg cozy. You put on, it's a cloth that you put on top of the egg to keep it warm until you're ready to eat it.
Why you gotta keep an egg warm to eat it? I mean, you don't do that for any other food. Why is an egg special in that regard?
Well, no, I mean, it's the egg equivalent of the tea cozy, you know, that keeps the pot of tea warm.
But that functions differently, though. I mean, that's more dynamic. If you cook an egg, you're going to eat the egg. Tea could be an elongated thing.
Eventually, what if you've got other stuff? You've got ham. You've got bacon, Lord knows what else you've got. And then you've got the little boiled egg sitting there in its holder, covered with the egg cozy so it doesn't get cold.
I'm going to have to look up a picture of the egg cozy because this is...
You didn't have egg cozies when you were a kid?
What? I'm sure. What? Your family probably had like a dozen egg cozies in your house?
We sure did.
I should have looked at it more. There's a thing on Twitter where it said like 20 images where if you recognize this, you're old. And I only saw the first one. The first one that I saw was what is it? The cigarette lighter from the car. Where remember where you push it down and it's a coil and yeah. They don't do that anymore. I don't know why they don't do. I guess because cigarettes.
Oh, I know why. Because they're wusses.
Yeah.
They're little weenies. Oh, we can't have lighters in the car. People would smoke.
You know what's amazing too? Again, this is why I'm switching off of Twitter. They had this thing on trending where it was raving about how alcohol increases cancer and how it's this giant like deception that alcohol doesn't increase cancer and that the big alcohol companies are all suppressing this information. And
It turns out Twitter causes cancer. No, it's true. And the big twit companies are hiding it. Big Twit is concealing the carcinogenic qualities of Twitter. Honestly, people are so stupid today. It's breathtaking. And as the one of my major employers put it very well some time ago, no one has the right to be that stupid.
They don't. No, they don't.
They just don't have that right. You don't get to be dumb. Not like that. Except they are.
Yeah, it's...
Stupid is as stupid does.
I'm going to name this episode Systemic Stupidity. That was such a good...
You like that? Systemic stupidity?
Because it is. It is.
Yeah. The system full of dum-dums. And they in charge. And we get to obey.
Okay. So, we're starting to ramble. So instead of rambling, maybe we should wrap things up.
Oh, wrap things up. Listen to you. All right, fine. We'll wrap things up. But there are a couple of points that need to be made. One is, tonight, as I said, was St. Nicholas's Eve, hence my being stuck as Krampus. Tomorrow is the Feast of St. Nicholas, as well as the second Sunday in Advent. Monday, when you're going to be seeing this, ladies and gentlemen, is the 7th, the Feast of St. Ambrose. But Tuesday is the Feast of the Immaculate Conception of the Blessed Virgin Mary, the patronal feast of these United States. So pray to her. Pray to the patrons of your state. Pray to the patrons of your city. Pray, 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 pray that our country come out of the doldrums and end up as something better than what it looks like it's heading toward. I can't emphasize that enough. I mean, if you think you love your country, pray for it.
Yeah, and it always has to be there, because a lot of these questions, they have to do with activism and doing, which is good, because that's how my mind works too, is about doing and making a difference and stuff like that. But as Cardinal Sarah says, you can't, it has to be joined with prayer. Yep. Because it's not about you having faith in your own strength and your ability. It's you having faith in God. You can't do anything on your own. It all comes from God. You see?
And he's given us this incredibly wonderful nation of ours, with so many interesting peoples and beautiful places, both natural and man-made. I've been in every state of this union, and I love the place. But we as Catholics have failed it consistently over the past 240 years. We need to stop that. We need to pray and work for its evangelization so that we become a real country and we cease to be the Pinocchio of nations. That is what we need to do. The questions earlier about an Anglo-American Catholicism, very, very fair questions, very good questions. It's something we have to create, but you don't create it by intending to. You see, French Catholicism, Mexican Catholicism, Italian Catholicism, Polish Catholicism, these things were not created in the sense of people sitting down to think about how to make them. They were the natural byproducts of the thorough evangelization of a people. They resulted naturally. Why don't we have these ethnic customs? Well, because we're not a Catholic people. Eventually we will, because that's what happens. And they will, if ever the United States are converted, then we will have Easter customs, Christmas customs, Immaculate Conception customs that are as natural to us as drinking whiskey on St. Patrick's Day for the Irish, or planting lilies on St. Dennis's Day for the French. They'll just be what we do because that's part of who we are. But we're not there yet. I mean, we have a long way to go from here to there.
And that makes me think of that first meme of the parish, how far we are from here to there.
Well, yeah, I mean, and they were a long way from where we need to go,
Yeah.
but they were further along than we are.
Yes.
We have actually regressed. We've fallen backward. And every time a parish is shut, every time a Catholic school is closed, every time the institution closes down something more, we're that much further back. These places should be used as the springboards for evangelization. You know, when you've got a beautiful urban parish, or a beautiful country parish for that matter, you cannot replace it when you've destroyed it. So what you need to do, instead of destroying it, your lordships, you need to find somebody, I don't care if it's the FSSP or the Christ the King people, or the community of St. Martin from France, or whatever, or some Filipino order, or Nigerians, but get yourself somebody who'll run it, put on a decent liturgy that will attract people, and use it to evangelize the immediate neighborhood. In other words, pretend that you're here for the salvation of souls and not for what's called managed decline in clerical management school. We don't need that, okay? We don't need that. If you're committed to managed decline, just resign and refuse a pension. That's the best way. Just subsist on Social Security, because we really don't need you. You've done enough. Go bye-bye.
Okay. Okay.
Well, with that, I guess I should ask you another question about Monday.
Go ahead.
Seeing that it is going to be the Feast of St. Ambrose.
Hmm.
But if it is Monday, apart from the Feast of St. Ambrose, what else will it be?
It'll be off the menu.
But wait a minute. In this season of Advent that we've entered, whose soul might you just possibly save?
It might be your own.
Happy Immaculate Conception, happy Advent, and we can say it now. It's after Thanksgiving.
What?
You know, the MC phrase.
Oh, yeah.
Not happy holiday.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. We can say that, ladies and gentlemen, and we just have. And on behalf of Krampus, Svart Pete, and all of St. Nicholas's accompanying crew, for all of you bad boys and girls out there of all ages, we know who you are. We know where you live. Better be good by Christmas, or you'll be meeting one of us.
Okay, see you.
Night-night, all.